Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is a little bit after 1 p.m. here in New Vienna, Iowa. So it's time for another live stream. Today is Tuesday, March 28th, 2023, day 2 of spring break. I had a lot of errands to run today, so I'm running a little bit late. Thanks, everybody, for your patience. And we got a little bit of different setup today, even compared to yesterday. It's a long story, but it involves me not bringing enough cables and stuff like that. So hopefully we'll go back to a little bit of a better camera setup and audio setup for tomorrow. But for today, we're gonna go with this. Just basically the MacBook microphone and the MacBook camera. I'm also running a little bit late again, so I just didn't have time to set everything up. So just a lot of excuses, but I appreciate you guys being here anyway, especially you guys listening on the audio only version. I know the mic's not going to be as good today, so I appreciate your patience as you're listening to this on your commute or maybe on your run. Everyone watching this on YouTube later after the fact, but not live, welcome to you guys as well. Did you guys have a good run today? Hopefully you had a good one. I haven't gone out for my run yet, but it is in the mid 40s right now. And that's pretty much as close as you're going to get to spring weather here in this part of the country at this time of year. So I'm looking forward to it. All right. Let's see who we got here in the chat. We got Luke Klein that says, yo, what's going on? Hi, Kafuzi. What's up, co-fam? And Sean Devlin says, getting some 2020 vibes from this setup. Yeah, we haven't been like this in a little bit, but it works. The important thing is you guys are here. I'm here. The rest is just kind of like, adornments, accoutrement. But the important thing is we're here together. So I'm happy to see you guys. Martin says, I still need to go on my 4-mile run and trying to wait out the drizzle. Well, stay dry out there. And Calvin says, yo, what's going on? 30 minutes at threshold, had my quads burning, but adding more hay and all that feels good. 30 minutes at threshold, that's a long time. Man, that's going to make you tired. So good work out there. Stevie76 says, the state bird of Iowa is the American goldfinch. It is? I feel like it should be the red-winged blackbird, that super territorial one, I also feel like I feel like lots of states could have that. But it's such a pesky bird, though. I don't think people like that bird, do they? Godslayer says, got an easy 9 miles in with my friend. That's always a good way to do it. And Ruben Serrano says, how are you doing, Mike? Well, thank you for asking. I'm doing okay. I'm feeling really good. Had a good workout yesterday. Took the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pros out for a first run. Did some longer threshold repeats, 9 minutes on, 90 seconds off. And it was good work. And I feel like the paces were, ended up being at a pace, speed that was encouraging. So I'm not changing really what my plans are for Boston, but feeling a little bit more confident about them. So it's going to be good. I got a couple more workouts in, long run on Thursday. Then I'll have another workout on Saturday at the Cherry Blossom 10 mile. And then we'll kind of evaluate from there. And let's see. A Sega Dreamcast. Oh, that was such a good console. It says, I picked up a pair of Hoka Mach 5 and ASIC Novak 3 thanks to your reviews. Absolutely love them and making my run substantially more rewarding. Well, that's awesome. I mean, that's kind of like the best thing that you can ask for from a daily trainer is just to make that daily training enjoyable. And I agree that those two shoes do a fantastic job of doing that. So glad that you're picking that up too. Mark says, the right-wing blackbirds aren't awesome, but they're not as bad as barn swallows that aggressively dive bomb your head. I'm not sure I know what a barn swallow looks like. I think I know what American goldfinches look like. They're tiny little birds, right? But I'll have to see. I mean, yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing, like, encountering a barn swallow one of these days. Tony Messia says, I'm planning on running 255 to 257 if you want in Boston, if you want company. Tony, I think we should line up together because I think that's where I'm going to line up in the 255 range. I'm going to I just had every other week, the relay group has a team call in terms of like what content we're going to put together in the next coming weeks. I'm going to have a conversation with Peter Bromka and Marcus Brown about pacing and stuff like that for Boston. So that should be coming up soon. But I'm not sure. If you want to come in at like the 255 to 257 range, what do you shoot for in the half? Do you shoot for an even split time-wise? Or do you shoot to go a little bit faster? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the smart move is there. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts too, Tony. Aaron's basement. A lot of you guys are having problems with birds. It says, LOL, a finch keeps slamming into my window every morning and don't know what to do. There was a thing. I remember seeing a thing at McCormick Place, which is the big giant convention center in Chicago. It's where like the expo is and bib pickup is. And that part of Lake Michigan is along a really large migratory path for a lot of birds. And there's certain times of year where like there just are tons of birds that hit not only building skyscrapers in Chicago, but specifically the McCormick Place. And I forget what they did to make it so that the birds didn't hit the windows. I know sometimes like buildings will put like little soap sponge kind of markers, like on the window so that animals can see that it's just a clear piece of glass, but it's a barrier. I don't know if you turn lights on or turn lights off. I can't remember which one it is that's more important. I think maybe turning lights off. I don't know. Jim Richardson says, I'm doing Denver Marathon in a couple months' time. How long did it take you to get used to the altitude when you visited? I was there. So I spent like 4 or 5 days in Denver. And then from Denver, I went directly to Mammoth Lakes, California. We flew into Bishop, which is like similar altitude, like 5,000 feet. And then we went up to, I think we drove up to Mammoth Lakes from there. So all told, I spent maybe like 7 or 8 days at altitude. I don't think I was used to it. But even by the end of it, like altitude, I don't think it is my thing. And I had a very hard time with it. So if you're doing the Denver Marathon, I mean, I think that I usually ask a lot of pros, like what they think about adjusting to elevation changes. And usually it's the other way around because they'll train at altitude and then come down to sea level for racing. And I'm not sure if it works the other way around, but there's kind of two camps of responses. One is like, I don't care. I'll just come in like whenever 3 or 4 days ahead of time and I'll be fine. And the others are like, I have a hard time adjusting to the altitude change, even going from high altitude to low. And so like, that's why they say they intentionally travel like less than 48 hours before the race. So their body just doesn't have enough time to like react negatively to the change. And they just got to kind of deal with it on the day. I'm not sure which one is, I mean, I think it's it's kind of like a taper. You got to figure it out on your own. And there's a lot of guess and check that goes on. All right. Tony says for his pacing strategy, he said last year at Boston, he went 256 and he split it at 127, 129. Tony, I like that split. That's a good split. I think we're going to have to find each other in the corrals, Tony. I like that. Because that's what I was thinking too, is that you got to go a little bit faster in the first half. Not banking time or anything like that, but you got to take advantage of the geography, I think. All right. Martha says, just did a challenging but fun 400, 400, 800 at fast places times 3 on the treadmill. It's keeping her honest. Whew. I feel like I think everything on the treadmill is harder than it is on the roads, but I especially feel like trying to go like 5K pace or faster. I just feel like part of it, like the room's not moving, so you don't feel like breeze, but all you hear is like the treadmill going crazy, and it just feels so frenetic to me. I don't know. I just feel like that's really tough. That's really tough. Great job. Nataku says, I saw you touch on this yesterday. Any more info on Cherry Blossom? Are you running it or just the event on Saturday? And more details on the shakeout? I plan on being there. Awesome. Yeah. So there's an event on Eventbrite. I should have put it in the link in the description today, but I just ran out of time with all the other stuff I had to do this morning. But if you search on Eventbrite for Pacers running or Cherry, like I think you could probably search for Believe in the Run. I don't know if you could search for Kofuzi if you'll find it. I think Pacers Running put it together. So that's where you want to do the RSVP. Or if you look at either my or Believe in the Run stories today, I think that they posted something and I linked to it. Yesterday, I posted something and they linked to it. So you should be able to find more details there. But we're going to meet at, I want to say 10 a.m., but I'm not positive. But we're meeting with Pacers Running in Georgetown, 4 to 5 miles of running. Nice and easy, a variety of paces. There's also like a walking loop that's going to be available for people that want to be even more relaxed for their shakeout. So there should be something for everybody, and there'll be a lot of fun stuff afterwards too. There's going to be some giveaways in terms of swag. Thomas put together the logo for this event, so there'll be a special limited edition tee that we give away, and yeah, we'll all be there hanging out. So hopefully I'll see you there. All right. Let's see. Rafael A. Ferrer says, hi from the Caribbean. Awesome. Welcome. Good to see you. Calvin says, what are your thoughts on barefoot running, if any? I think it's great for people that like it. I'm not a huge fan of it. I don't find it to be, I'm not compelled by it. I like very cushioned, soft shoes. And so like minimalist stuff doesn't really interest me all that much. I do think it's valuable when people do like drills, like on the infield of a track. I think there's definitely value in that. When I do my, let's say, weight training, I'll put that in air quotes. I bought one kettlebell, and every once in a while I'll pick it up. When I do that, I usually do it barefoot, but that's because I'm doing it in my basement, and it would feel weird to put shoes on inside my house. So that's one thing. But I do like kind of doing like weights, kind of like in more minimalist or at least zero drop shoes with some more room for the toes so I could stabilize myself, you know? So like, that's where I feel like minimalist shoes are important, but for running, I don't particularly find them that interesting. Joe Guhit says, what has been your favorite marathon? Ooh, that's a tough one. I would have to say like Tokyo is the most recent one that I had just an incredible amount of fun at. New York has energy that's unmatched. Chicago is a race that's in my hometown, and I feel like I know everybody on the course. I don't, but you know, it just has that hometown feel to it. I've run it so many times. So there's a lot of really fun ones that I enjoy. I also really enjoy Light at the End of the Tunnel Marathon because it's just like it's an amusement park ride for runners because it's 2,000 feet of gentle downhill almost the entire way. So there's a lot of really fun ones, and I don't know if I could pick a favorite. Sean said, we need a barefoot running review. These are my own feet. I was born with them and no one's paying me. Yeah. I don't think I would review my feet, but I could review barefoot running as a technique. But you know, I don't know. I don't think anyone wants me to do that video. And if I did, I feel like then all like the barefoot runners would come out of the woodwork and it'd just be a lot of negative attention that I'm not that interested in. Savvy76 says, don't drop the kettlebell on bare feet. That's true. That's true. I don't have a very big one. It's 20-pounder. Is that a big one? I don't know. But I haven't had any problems with grip so far. I don't lift it very much. So there's not a lot of risk there. Martin says, I did a huge, where'd it go? I did a huge retraining with a physical therapist to minimalist running to get over patellar tendonitis. It's a long process, and I would only recommend it if you keep getting injured. Well, that's interesting. I'm glad that you're having, I'm assuming you're having a good result with it now. You didn't specify that, but I'm assuming that's the case. But I think that's awesome. I don't have any, philosophically, I don't have any problem with it. I think it's great for people that it's working for. I just don't want to try it, you know? Nate Robertson says, what's going on, Nate? Says, heading to Tokyo at the end of April for a family vacation. Looking for new shoes for the trip that I can use for easy runs after. What would you pick? I think that, depending on your runs, I think I had the Nimbus 25 for a lot of walking around Tokyo and running, and that was a really great choice. But if you wanted to get a little bit speedier, the Nimbus 25 doesn't always really want to pick up the pace. A Glide Ride, I think, would be a good choice. But also, I think like the Nova Blast 3 or the Rebel version 3 would be great choices as well. I think that a Triumph 20 could be a really good choice too. So like a lot of those shoes that kind of fall in like the kind of like the plush daily trainers or like kind of max cushiony shoes, I feel like those could all be good choices because then it's going to be able to handle the being on feet all day and then going for a run even later on. So those are going to be some options that I would look at. PG19A says, hi, Co, will you do the London Marathon at some point? I'm really hoping that I can get in for 2024. My goal is to do Boston this year. That'll be my 4th star. And then I'd love to be able to do London and Berlin as stars 5 and 6 for 2024. So that's the hope. So, yeah. So, I mean, I would love to be able to do like London Marathon as part of like a bigger UK tour. And if that doesn't work out, do like a UK tour as well. Maybe ending at the Great North Run. That could be another way to do it too. Instead of, I was thinking maybe ending at London. But there's a lot of different like options and things that have been kind of like kicking around in my head in terms of like how to approach a UK tour. I think that's something that's like high on my list of things that I want to do. Aaron's Basement says, I want a Kafuzi feet video. No, you don't. You know what? Every time I post a picture of my feet, I get a lot of DMs about it. And people are like, oh man, your feet are gross. And I'm just like, I have runner's feet. I mean, they're probably more gross than the average runner's feet, but I have runner's feet. Like, I don't know what people are expecting. You know, like every time I review like slides or sandals or recovery shoes or something like that, like I have shown my feet and people are always like really like shocked by it. I'm like, what did you expect? All right. Jay Preza says, haircut or no haircut before races? I haven't been getting a lot of haircuts lately. I think my last haircut was 2 Novembers ago, but I would like to get a haircut before Boston. So that's something that I'd like to work on. So I probably will get a haircut soon. Dennis Cheek says, hola, with 4 A's and 3 exclamation points. Well, hola, Denise. And Eric says he's finally here. Had to stuff a tamale down my gullet. No harm, no foul. Well, there you go. There you go. I have a burnt roof of my mouth right now because I ate a bunch of leftover soup. My mother-in-law made vegetable soup for dinner yesterday. Her soup is really good. I can't make vegetable soup very good, but I had a bunch of it and I put it in the microwave to heat it up and it got very hot. It was worth it though. Definitely worth it. All right. Melvin Eubank says, hey, Co-Fam, happy with my 3350 PR, my first Shamrock Shuffle on Sunday. Awesome. Sorry I don't have my bell with me, but congratulations on the PR. He says, it's easy to PR when it's the only time ever racing the distance. There you go. And he goes, a great event, probably my only chance to start in Corral A. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad you had a good time out there. Yeah, I was seeing a lot of footage from the Shamrock Shuffle last weekend, and it looked like it was a really fun race. So I'll have to try and run that one again sometime. I'm really far behind you guys in the chat, so I'm going to scroll down. Pano says, I cut my hair last week, and it worked a treat for my first marathon on Sunday. All right, there you go. There you go. And Mark wants to know if I've ever gotten a pedicure. I'd be too worried to subject them to that. I thought about it because I felt like, my feet are pretty beat up. And I think that if I got like a pedicure, it might kind of correct a lot of stuff that's going on. But I'm like, no, at this point, I think I just need to see a podiatrist. I think that's where I'm at. I need to see I don't need to see it. Yeah, exactly like what you're saying. I don't need to subject someone to that. I need to refer to someone that has medical training or something like what I've got going on. Callan Wong says, should I go Craig Angle's mullet time? No, I don't think so. I think I'm going to keep it long-ish, but I just got a lot back here. There's just so much of it. And like, it's getting to be a lot. So I need to lighten it up a little bit. Rafael Ferrer says, I want to buy a singlet for a race. Would you recommend the On Cloud singlets or Nike all the way? The Nike Aero Swift is certainly really, really good. I don't have any experience with the On singlets, so I can't say that. I've been racing in the Asics Actibreeze singlets, and they are excellent. So those are my current favorite ones to run in. Very similar to the Aero Swift if you like those. Sizing is also pretty similar. between the two brands in terms of those higher end singlets. So those are my kind of favorites. All right. Frank says, I'm going to shave my beard off. Should I put a different pic in my Strava so people know what I actually look like? I think so. I mean, I like the dog pics. I always love a good dog pic, but then we can recognize you when we see you at Boston. Calvin says, do the BPN singlet, aka shirtless. Yeah, I mean, hopefully Boston is just like a slightly chilly day, and a singlet and maybe some gloves will be like the way to go. But I don't think I've ever raced a race shirtless before. It's not really my style, because then you got to put the bib on your shorts, and I just really don't like that. I don't know why. Stephen M says, when you used to do long runs 2 hours plus before work in the early AM when you had a day job, how did you stay focused throughout the workday without feeling dead? A lot of coffee. And then I would always try to schedule meetings for those afternoons, like in the middle of the afternoon, like around 2 to 3, because that's when I would usually feel the most dead and kind of fall asleep at my desk. But if I had a meeting, that would usually keep me like awake enough. So that was like another thing that I did. But it was tough. It was really tough. Runner Dre says, are we ever getting Coast singlets, or is that a dream for 2024? I'm gonna talk to ASICS about that. So we're gonna figure something out. And I've been kind of talking to you guys, like I gotta figure out a way to do. I think if we do smaller drops, maybe that's something that I could find to be more manageable. Maybe I could work with someone that's already doing merch to be able to process that for me. So that's I think that's the way. I mean, I think the thing to do is just copy what Believe in the Run does. They're not making like Believe in the Run singlets. They're making a Believe in the Run collab singlet with like Tracksmith or with a hat with CLA. So I feel like that's kind of like the better way to go. I do think that they have stuff that's for sale all the time. I don't really want to do that, because then I don't want to be like, oh, I got to go to the post office 4 times this week. But I think if we do like smaller batch, like stuff that'll sell out over like a weekend, I think that's something that I think we could work on. I just got to start talking to some people about it. Matthias Sventest says, I did a half marathon in 2017, and it seemed every male November Project guy ran it shirtless. Was that like they don't have, but like, don't they have singlets? Maybe back in 2017 they didn't. Yeah, interesting. Sean Devlin says, I'm hoping to wear a singlet, but do arm warmers help much if it's chilly? I've never worn them. I think they do, and they don't help as much during the run. Once you start running, I don't feel like they're as helpful. I like having them on, but I feel like they are very helpful when you're in the corrals and waiting for the race to start, if that makes sense. But then again, you could always have just throwaway layers in the beginning too. So how much do they really help? I don't know. I actually think that they're probably more effective for cooling you off when it's hot than they are for keeping you warm when it's cold. But it's kind of like, I don't know. There's times where I just feel like wearing just a singlet feels like a bold move, like too bold of a move. And I'm like, wow, the arm sleeves make it seem less aggressive. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Lalo P says, I feel like the photographers take less pictures of you if you're shirtless. I wonder if that's true. Maybe it's because like they're focused on looking at the bibs at like a certain level. And if they just see a shirtless person, they're like, oh, I'm not going to look for pants to see if there's a number. I don't know. Terry says, Coast singlets, yes, please. And please get an EU distributor. The import tax from the US always kills the deal for me otherwise. Yeah, see, that's where I think they're going to get tricky. I'm trying to think, who do I know over in the UK that's doing merch? Like, I guess Ben Parks is doing merch. maybe I can hire him, like his warehousing and order fulfillment services. I don't know. That's kind of like where my mind's at. I'm like, who's making merch and already doing this that wouldn't mind processing a handful more orders for me, and we'll make it work for everybody. You know what I mean? So Frank says, why not a Path non-elite singlet? I don't love their tank top. It's like kind of cottony. And so like it always, like, the fit doesn't seem exactly right for me. So I wouldn't want to race in it. I've done workouts in it and it's okay. It's fun to wear around for summer wear, but I don't love to race in it. So that'd be the main reason why. David Caicedo says, Mike, if you're training with someone for Chicago 2024, what would you recommend in terms of terrain, volume, etc.? I mean, I think that's going to depend on, where that person is and what their goals are, so like, if they wanted, basically, in terms of terrain, you don't really have to worry too much about terrain because it's a very, very flat course. But as far as volume goes, a little bit more than you've done the last time you had a successful marathon training block. If you had a successful one relatively recently within like the last, a year or two. If you haven't had a good marathon training block, or if you haven't done a marathon in a very long time, then it might be like, all right, well, maybe we need to dial it back from what we did last time. So I think it's kind of hard to say, but I mean, yeah, you might have to be a little bit more specific for me, David. Schumann fan says, Heiko, will you bring multiple pairs of shoes to Boston for different weather conditions? I will bring multiple shoes to Boston, but because I'm doing different events with different brands. So I think that I'm doing 1, 2, 3 or 4 things. I don't remember. I have to count it. I'll probably put my schedule out like after Cherry Blossom. So next week. So there'll be stuff on Saturday that I'm doing and stuff on Sunday. I'll probably go to the expo on Friday. But yeah, so I'll have to have different shoes. But as far as the race shoes go, the race shoes will be the race shoes, regardless of whether it's like rainy or wet or cold. Because none of the shoes that I'd be considering are like, I don't like that shoe when it's wet. Like I don't have that. So. All right, Corey Villancourt says, listen to your live stream from yesterday, Mike, and was grading papers, and someone walked into my classroom right when you were talking about pooping on the side of the road. That's really funny. I'm sorry about that, Corey. Oh my goodness. But I'm glad that you're listening to the live stream while grading papers. So if we have any other teachers that are out there that are doing the same, then then I think we can maybe make a proclamation about our ranking as the best running podcast to listen to while grading papers. Joe Guhit says, do you run every day? How do you give up the training, speed, distance, tempo, etc., week to week? I do run every day when I'm training for a marathon. When I'm not training for a marathon, I don't necessarily run every day, but I try to do something every day. I might hit the bike, I might swim, or do some other cross-training activity, but I usually try to do something every day. Right now, the way that I do it, I divvy up the training depending on what race I'm preparing for and when in the training block it is. But for me, most of the time during marathon training, I've switched to a 9-day cycle, which I really like. And that basically means like a workout every 3 days. And during the bulk of marathon training, it'll be a threshold repeats day and then 2 easy days of running, easy. And then the next day, it'll be threshold day, easy, easy, threshold day, easy, easy, a long run with marathon effort in it, and then easy, easy. So like mostly easy running. And then quality sessions every 3rd day. And then towards the end of the training block, I'll add in some faster work. Just to get the legs a little bit more turnover and a different stimulus as we head into the taper, but it's pretty much it. I'm not very complicated when it comes to my workouts. I have like 3 workouts that I like to do. That's it. Calvin says, post-race layering, jacket or hoodie. The jacket is easier because it could zip on, and if you're like sweaty and gross, it's just easier to put on than the hoodie is. But the hoodie is going to be warmer, I think. So it depends on how cold it is, I think. I'll tell you that Tokyo hoodie blanket thing, poncho kind of thing that they gave, that's one of my favorite like post race gifts that I've ever seen. So it's just so good. I like it so much. Jeff G says, newer runner here working towards half marathon using the Noblesse 3 and the More version 4. May have ended up with stress fracture on the left shin. Got to get an MRI. Well, I'm sorry to hear about that, Jeff. Hopefully the MRI results are, I don't want to say positive, but are encouraging. So hopefully you can rest up and get that taken care of. But welcome to the running space. And I'm sorry to hear that you're not feeling good. Matt Anderson says, when you say easy running, what does that typically mean? Distance, HR, and pace? It usually means the distance will depend on what my distance needs are for that week. Heart rate is usually low heart rate. For me, that's like around 140 beats per minute or less. And pace is whatever that heart rate ends up giving me. I don't care about the pace. For the distance, right now, I'm usually looking at about 10 miles a day for my easy days. During the taper, it might become down to like 8 or 6. But usually it's around 8 to 10 because I'm usually shooting for around 70 to 75 miles a week for my marathon training. So easy is, I say to put it into time, which I think might be more useful and relevant to apply it to other people. 30 to 60 minutes. I usually go about 90 minutes. So anywhere in that range could be easy. Kevin Hong says, results are positive, gives strong office energy when Michael didn't understand what testing negative meant. That's what I was thinking too. Mila 2858 says, can you recommend any summer halves in Chicago other than Bank of America? Yeah, the Rock and Roll Half Marathon, I think they're still doing it, is usually Bastille Day, like right around July 14th, whenever that weekend is. It's really hot, but that's the other one. There's a spring one, like the Mag Mile one, right? But that's not summer. So for summer, I think that you're looking at July for the Rock and Roll, and then the Bank of America one is, I think, June, I want to say. So that's it. And then the Lifetime Hoka Chicago Half Marathon, that is in October. It's like 2 weeks before Chicago usually. Aubrey Running says, super late. Are you ever going to visit the UK? Have you been before? Yeah, we talked about it a little bit earlier at the top, Aubrey. I would love to do a UK tour. I'm just trying to figure out like how to plan it, when to do it. And like, in terms of how, I mean by like, how can I get it financed? So like what would be the right partners to do on it? Or is it something that I self-finance and figure out stuff along the way? I'm not sure, but I'd like to do a UK tour sometime in 2024. Because it's been a long time. I've been to the UK once before. I went with a buddy and his wife, and me and my wife went for New Year's. I want to say like 2010, 2009. I'm not sure. It was after I had graduated from law school, but not much after I had graduated from law school. So 2008, 2009, it was a really great place to spend New Year's. We really enjoyed it. And it was amazing. There was lots of darts on television, which I played a lot of darts in college. So it was a lot of fun. I've never really actually seen it on television until I went to London. And I was like, if we had more time, I feel like we should go to one of these events. Because it just looks like people sit there and drink all day and watch other people play darts. I can do that. I like that. Aubrey Running says, I think it would be amazing to arrange it with the A16 for the London 10K event. Oh, that's an interesting one. Because I was thinking like, well, like the runs that like I'm really thinking about to kind of coincide it with would be like the London Marathon or the Great North Run. But the London 10K, that would be logistically, that might be easier for me to arrange. Interesting. Jan Park says, what do you miss most about being an attorney? Not a lot. I feel like My favorite parts about being an attorney were like the storytelling parts about it. And so I was an attorney, but I didn't really practice. I didn't have my own clients. I was a consultant. So I would help attorneys figure out how to tell their clients stories, primarily through the use of technology as well, but sometimes just straight, you know, helping them write their arguments or opening statements. And so like that was usually the best part, is just like how to take a set of facts and spin it together into a narrative that hopefully is persuasive and that people will want to care about. So that was the favorite part. Sega Dreamcast wants to know, what kind of law did you practice? I mean, I didn't practice. I did for a very short amount of time, but the main thing I did for the bulk of my career was I was a litigation consultant. So I spent 99% of my time in a courtroom, which is what most lawyers do not do, but that's kind of what I did. So I spent all my time at trials or getting ready for trials. Getting ready for trials is a better way to put it. Ray M says, what are your comfort after race shoes, slides, and self-care practice? After race, there's self-care, but like I recover better after long runs and workouts than I do after races. You know, after races, it's usually like, all right, time to take a short break, you know, whether it's like half a week long, that kind of thing. And so like, then it's just kind of like, whoo, I'm not going to worry about anything. But after like a workout, I mainly try to make sure I'm eating a lot and often, and trying to get more sleep. And then the other thing that I've been trying to do lately is on my 9-day schedule is on my workout days in the evenings, trying to lift my weight, the kettlebell. I don't want to say weights because I only have one. So lift the one weight and do something like that, or mobility work. Before Tokyo, I did a couple of like double threshold sessions. So that's what I would do, something in the evening, but I try to schedule some time, like 30 to 45 minutes of doing something in the evening that's going to be beneficial. I guess that's not necessarily recovery to do another workout. But you know, it's kind of it's kind of in the vein of mobility work, but it's more strengthening / mobility work. So that's kind of what I've been doing, is do things that make me stronger, I guess. All right. Mark says, come hang out next time you're in Minneapolis. We have a nice dartboard in the basement and a fireplace inside and a pit in the backyard. Well, there you go. I'm in. That sounds like a dream to me. Yeah, my wife has some friends in Minneapolis too, and so like we've been meaning to go up there. And so that's a city that we like to visit. Me and my running buddy, one of our friends, also he used to live in Chicago with his wife, and then they moved up to Minneapolis a little while ago. So there's a lot of people. There's a lot of reasons to go to Minneapolis. I just don't go there nearly as much as I should. It's hard though, because Minneapolis is just so cold so much of the year. But I think I just got to do it. The last time I went for a non-running reason to Minneapolis was like February. And yeah, it was cold. The time before that we went to Minneapolis, also February. I don't know why we keep doing that. Once I went to visit that other friend that me and my running buddy have, and the other time was for a wedding that me and my wife went to. So we've been in Minneapolis a lot in the winter for some reason. Hawaii Frank says, greetings from Bavaria. Welcome. Good to see you again. I love that name, Hawaii Frank. And Terry Furlong says, just to make it clear, we do have other programs on the TV other than darts. That is true. But that was the thing that captivated me most. I enjoyed that the most. Of watching TV in the UK. I mean, you know, when you're traveling abroad, hopefully you're not watching too much TV. You know, that's the thing. Luke Hine says, my friend is texting me about the yellow SC Elite. What was it? Cosmic Pineapple? Is that the name of it? Cosmic Pineapple. Yes. That's a good one. And Mark Peterson says, "Ooh, February, it's a poor choice." I know, poor choice for February, but both for the wedding and for the time we visited our other running buddy, this is the best time we could fit it into the calendar. It was then or never. So, you go when you can, and I always have a good time. Yeah, Paul Public says, like, lift my weight. Sounds like you're trying to pick yourself up from the floor. Yeah, I'm not doing body weight stuff. I do a lot of body weight stuff. I do a body weight mobility routine every day before every run. But I basically just do a lot of that same routine, just holding a kettlebell. But I do some different exercises too. I don't know. We got a membership to the YMCA, a family membership, and I keep thinking that I'm gonna go and use their weight room and start lifting heavy. And I was like, I'm gonna do that before Tokyo. I didn't. And I was like, I'm gonna do it in between Tokyo and Boston. I didn't. But I'm pretty sure I'm gonna start doing it after Boston. So for the summer, I'm gonna start lifting more than just my one kettlebell. I'll be lifting weights instead of lifting a weight. Let's see, was this from Otto? Oh. Otto VV says, no wonder your storytelling in the videos is so great. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, like, I feel like that was kind of ended up being my craft, was to make uninteresting stories interesting, or stories that people might not otherwise care about, something worth caring about. So it's interesting because, like, I started making more YouTube videos. One of the justifications was, like, like, if I'm going to build myself out as like a professional storyteller to other attorneys, I got to make sure I'm really a good storyteller. And so, like, making YouTube videos in the beginning was a great way to kind of practice that, of like finding a narrative, something to tell a story about, even in just a boring day where I just worked all day, that kind of thing. So, yeah. Eric says, any rumors or sneaky peek about the Novablast 4? Or is that super toxic embargo stuff? I have not heard anything about the Novablast 4. I'm trying to think. Has anyone sent me anything? Have I seen anything? No. I think that Aces just knows that I'll forget, and so they don't show me that stuff. They showed me a lot of the Nimbus ahead of time. I don't know if they were like, surely he will leak it and then we'll build buzz. And I'm like, no, I didn't actually leak anything about the Nimbus ahead of time. I don't think I did. But I don't know anything about the Novablast 4. But I'm trying to think, when did I get the Novablast 3 last year? I got the Novablast 3 very early last year, but it was around the time of the RBC half, the other New York half marathon. So maybe there'll be a Novablast 4 somewhere around that time. I don't know. Terrence Hui says, Co, would you consider scheduling a live stream even on weekdays when you're traveling so the community could chat with each other? I don't know if I have much traction, but I'd totally be down. Because like a Friday, I'm going to be traveling. So Friday, there won't be a live stream. How would that work? You know what I could do? I mean, I guess like I could have a video that plays for the course of an hour, and then you would be able to chat underneath it. I don't. Would that work? I don't know how that would work. You guys will have to let me know what you guys think about something like that. I mean, do we need to set up like a Discord server? Is that where we're at? Is that where we're going to this time? Rob Sayer says, I love this story. Many years ago, UK darts professionals used to drink several pints of beer whilst playing on TV. It's not allowed now, just soft drinks. And it was better when they were drunk. I love that. I'm trying to think now, because I was there, it was over a dozen years ago. So I wonder if, I can't remember. I have a feeling that I felt like they were drinking beers. And like, it was in this, not giant, but a large hall. And there'd be these rows of there's a couple rows of very long tables where everyone's sitting kind of like look to me kind of like Oktoberfest style is the best way that I can explain it in like my American vocabulary. And I feel like everyone there was like drinking beers and eating food. And there also happened to be a darts match happening, you know? I feel like that's fun. That's an atmosphere I want to be a part of. Sean says, I get better at darts the more I drink. Opposite for pool, though. No, I think for a lot of those kind of like skill games, darts, pool, bowling, you got to get to like the right amount of like relaxed. That's the key. You just got to be relaxed. Can't be too relaxed. Just a little relaxed. Stevie76 wants to know who's the darts YouTuber. I bet you, is there? See, like I bought my nephew. My nephew's really into bowling, and so I bought him. I wanted to buy him really nice bowling shoes for his birthday. And so I was like, I don't know how to buy bowling shoes, but I'm like, you know what I do know how to do? I know how to look up shoe reviews on YouTube. So I was like, I bet you that there is a bowling YouTube. Like there's running YouTube. I bet you there's bowling YouTube. And there is. It's just not a very big community. There's a lot of, I think the popular videos are not like, here's this new bowling shoe, or even here's this new bowling ball, which I thought that would be the real thing. But the big things are like, you know, how to hook a ball, how to do this, how to bowl a perfect game, you know, those kinds of things. So that's what was big on bowling. I wonder what's in darts. I bet you there's a wide variety of it, from like, here's how you play cricket, to like, here's how you score on a dartboard. It's not just about hitting the bullseye, you know, like to like technique and how to pick different fins. And I don't know. I feel like that's a rabbit hole I could easily fall down. Leona says it's another niche for Kofuzi bowling shoe reviews. There's like two $200 bowling shoes, and I was watching reviews for that one. It was interesting. I was like, I don't know if this is a niche. I don't know if this is a passion for me. I don't know if I can make a bunch of videos about it. Jay Preza, what's going on? He says, are you running Chicago this year? Yes, I am. So I will be running Chicago again. I suppose, like, I guess once Boston's done, then I could really start hunkering down. I got to figure out, I want to plan some big events for Chicago. I have ideas. I want to plan some big events for CIM. So those are some big things that I want to do. And I got to figure out, like, start talking to people. I know it's kind of late because with some of the brands that have bigger budgets overall also have all that money like spoken for before the start of the year. So even if I talked to them like 3 months ago, that might have been too late. But we're going to find who still has some spare cash and people laying around that can help me pull off some events. So we'll see. Frank says, do the big shoe manufacturers make bowling shoes? No, it's like the same companies that make the bowling balls. It's like Brunswick. And then like a handful. I'm trying to think. Was there one of a brand that I recognize? I don't think so. There were brands that I recognized, but they weren't running shoe brands. I forget which ones they were. Burnout Alcohol says, I used to be a big bowler before I got into running. I had fancy shoes. They're less expensive than fancy running shoes. And I bet you they last a lot longer. Well, they also have like different inserts that you could put in them and stuff, depending on how much you like to slide on your release, your throw. I don't know the vocabulary, but yeah. I do think that they last a long time. I don't think you're going through multiple a season. I suppose it depends on how much you're bowling. Mark says, doesn't Nike make bowling shoes? Do they? I don't know, because there's like there isn't as far as I remember, there isn't a bowling warehouse. Like, you know, there's like running warehouse, tennis warehouse, there's pickleball warehouse, there's skate warehouse, there's all these different ones. And I'm trying to think, there wasn't a bowling warehouse, and all like the bowling retailers that I found, like they didn't sell Nike bowling shoes, as far as I remember. I don't know. I don't know. um, Martin Pestria says, I look away at my spreadsheets for 1 second and this turned into a bowling live stream. That's yeah. Well, it happens quick. It happens. You got to pivot. You got to pivot when it depends. You got to follow the audience. Frank says pickleball warehouse. I think it's a thing. If I recall, there's tackle warehouse, which is for fishing. I think that there's pickleball warehouse, which I think really just directs you to like a sub page of tennis warehouse. I'm not sure. Connor tried to explain all the different warehouses to me one time when I was out there in San Luis Obispo. He explained all those to me. I was like, I had no idea there are so many. He's like, yeah, there's a lot. I was like, huh, interesting. Good for them. Bernard says that the Buddies Pro Shop is the equivalent to Running Warehouse. All right, next time I need to buy my nephew some bowling shoes. I don't know if he has his own ball yet. Maybe I can get him a ball. Well, I'll have to check out Buddies Pro Shop. There we go. Eric says, SMH Pickleball Warehouse. Good grief. Have you guys played pickleball before? I have not played pickleball before, but apparently there is a sport in Europe called padel, which is very similar to pickleball, and it annoys all the same people that pickleball annoys. So when I was at the Adidas HQ, I was there with someone for Top for Running, a European retailer, and Top for Running. I was there with Jordy, and he's like, "Oh, those." He's talking to we're walking around the campus, and he's talking to the Adidas people. He was like, "Oh, is that a padel court?" And they're like, "Yeah, we just installed a bunch of them. It's really popular. It's growing very quickly in Germany." And I was like, "What's padel? Is that like pickleball?" And he goes, "What's pickleball?" And I'm like, it's kind of like giant ping pong, and smaller than tennis." And he's like, "Oh, that sounds a lot like padel." I'm like, "How do you play padel?" He's like, "Well, you kind of play it like racquetball." And I'm like, "Oh, it sounds like pickleball." So I feel like all this sounds kind of like the same, slightly different rules. There's walls involved in padel. I don't know if anyone has played that game before. Eric says, "I can't do it. Ping pong or tennis, pick one." Yeah, I'm older. What do you think about badminton though? I love badminton. That's a fun game. I mean, I think it's interesting that like people are like the big concern for a lot of people is like the noise of pickleball. But I'm like, that is a concern a little bit for me, but I don't care that much. But I don't know. I feel like it'd be pretty fun to play. I'd like to try it. I think that there's a pickleball court in my neighborhood, but like in our subdivision, there's like a kind of like a senior living area, whereas like a retirement community area, and they have a clubhouse over there, and there's a pickleball court there. I don't think I'm allowed to go there, but I like to play sometime. And Mika says padel is getting absolutely massive and unbelievably quick here, just like curling 10 plus years ago, and those disappeared pretty quickly. Oh, you think? Oh, I wonder if it's going to disappear quickly. That'll be interesting. There is a racquetball court at the YMCA that I don't think anyone played racquetball in, like the YMCA that we joined. I don't think anyone was playing racquetball in it. So for a while they put in a climbing wall, but then I think no one was climbing in it, and they were dismantling it right when we signed up, which was disappointing to my daughter and me because we would have enjoyed that. But I don't think they had anyone to maintain it. So they took that down, and now it's a racquetball court again. I feel like they should put in a padel court or a pickleball court. That would draw in a lot of people, I think. Martha says the hardest part of pickleball is a scoring business you have to call out. I'm not sure about that. I don't know how the scoring works. Calvin says, what's the significance of the pickle nomenclature? I have no idea. I don't know. All right. Bisham Mom says, badminton is the best summer game. I've seen more fights at badminton tournaments and boxing match. Really? I've never seen that before. I don't know that I'd want to see it, but if it were going to happen, I would hope that I would be able to watch it. You know what I mean? I wouldn't wish it to happen, but if it's gonna, I'd like to see what got people so fired up, you know? I'd like to see that. Calvin says, reminds me of a Parks and Rec outtake. What comes after dues? Wipe. And there we go. Back to poop. That's a good place to put it. All right. I think that's going to be a good place to leave it for today. I appreciate all of you guys for coming along on the wild ride that was today. We did bowling, YouTube, pickleball, padel, badminton, tennis warehouse. We went on a journey today. So I appreciate you guys coming along for the ride. Tomorrow's video, hopefully it'll get up by tomorrow morning. Tomorrow's video is going to be on the Aero Glide. We did the Solomon Sense Ride 5 on Monday. Tomorrow's video, hopefully it'll be tomorrow, will be about the Aero Glide. I've been running a lot in that and been enjoying it. So check that out in the morning. And then in the afternoon, I'll see you guys for another live stream, same time today, 1 p.m. Central. Hopefully you see you then. And in the meantime, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.